It was, believe it or not, I found the whole battle very exciting. There was tremendous noise, the sound of all the guns firing, ours and the Chinese. And when I went out at about midnight in a lull in the firing to see the crews in the gun pits, they were all very happy and enjoying the work. They've been working very hard. The outside, out of the command post, it was like daylight. There were so many flares, star shells, the artificial moonlight from the searchlights that were played on the area. It was so bright you could almost read a newspaper, and the noise was quite incredible. The guns firing continuously, shells bursting, the rattle of machine guns, and all in all quite exciting because we weren't in physical danger of the area, unlike the infantry who were being shot at. We were back at the gun position, so we were participating in the battle, contributing significantly, but we were not in great personal danger at that time. It was actually a few short weeks, 10 weeks before the truce was signed in July 27th. The Chinese did make another major attack to try and take the Hook again, and they put in a very heavy attack on the night of the 25th, 26th of July. And it was a battle almost of equal intensity again. But again, the Chinese were repelled, and so their efforts and a huge loss of life of their men gained them absolutely nothing. It was part of the tragedy of the war. What I'm holding here is a map of the major area of Maisonneuve, and it shows that I've got here, shows the front line area, if it can be seen. This was the front line of the United Nations area. This is the Imjin River here, a major river, and the red dots represent the Chinese side of the defensive line. And the battle that I spoke about was the Hook. And this is the Samachon River, a tributary which flows into the Imjin River. The Hook battle was on this area here, and it can be seen that because of the nature of the valley, and this leads down to the Imjin and then on to the Gloucester Valley and straight down to Uijeongbu and Seoul, that this feature here was vital. It was a high dominating feature, and it was vital that it be held. Into this small area you can see that the map squares are actually 1,000 yards across and about 500, but the Hook itself only covers a comparatively small area. It's roughly a map square across 1,000 yards and about 500 yards deep. During that battle, on the 28th of May, a total of 48,000 shells were fired into that area. There were 32,000 shells from the Divisional Artillery, 1st Commonwealth Division, and the American Corps Artillery contributed to it, and the Chinese themselves fired over 10,000 shells into the area. It's since been recognised by a military historian of world renown and repute, John Keegan, who's a senior lecturer in military studies at Sandhurst Academy in England, that concentration of artillery fire onto 1,000 yards of front was the heaviest concentration of artillery fire since World War I. What happened in the immediate fighting area, the civilians were cleared out from the area. So we only had limited contact with any of the Korean people, apart from the Korean soldiers that were attached, and they were called CATCOMs, Koreans attached to Commonwealth forces. The Americans had them attached also, and they served with the infantry units. But also, what all the units had were very large numbers of Koreans, civilians, who worked as porters. And with those A-frames that you had, which were an astonishment to us, of the enormous loads that the Korean people carried on their backs, we just couldn't believe the weight that they could carry. Now these porters, and there were a lot of them attached to every unit of the United Nations forces, they carried the food, the ammunition, the water, everything that was required were carried on the backs of Korean porters. They were very loyal, they were very hard working, and of course there was naturally language difficulties. After I came back from Korea, I was working as a chemist at the Waikato Hospital, and I went to a sporting event known as the Savile Cup, which is played for polo teams. And it was at the reception afterwards. I was not a participant, just one of the spectators. This friend, a recently acquired friend, arrived with this rather lovely looking lady, and I thought, gosh, isn't she charming? And he then, delight of my life, he introduced me to his sister. And so there we are. From that moment on, I was smitten, totally.
She's still very beautiful.
She was, still is. Yes, indeed. Yes, okay. That's right. So it was a very happy occasion. We built this house quite a number of years ago, actually. 52 years ago we built it.
53.
And I've been corrected there, it's 53 years, not 52, so forgive me for that. When we built here, it was open countryside. There were only 2 other completed houses across the road, and it was all open farmland paddocks. In fact, from the front door of our house, we could look down onto the Waikato River and onto the Hamilton Golf Course. But now, of course, all the trees and shrubs have grown, and the town has grown, and the suburb, lots of houses now, and expanded out to the northeast of Hamilton. We're now 146,000. I think when we built it here, we were probably only about 60,000 from it. But we've enjoyed living here, and we brought up our family here. At times we felt the house was too small. And we had 2 sons and 2 daughters, and we also now have, as a result of their efforts, 6 granddaughters and 3 grandsons. We do have contact with them. We enjoy them very much indeed. Sadly, though, our 2 daughters now live in Auckland. They are both trained as nurses. And our 2 sons, they both live in the South Island, and they're farmers. And of our grandchildren, 7 of them are in the South Island, and 2 in the North Island, and they're in Auckland. So to make it easy, we travel to see them. And we go to the South Island at least once a year, and we spend a fortnight or a week, 10 days or so, with each family. And then I have a little room in here, sort of a little study. Come and have a look, Diane. This is my closest friend in Korea. He served with the artillery and with the armoured tanks. My brother-in-law, who served with the Australians. This is another friend who died just recently. He served also in Korea with me. Top right is my brother, who died a few years ago. And these are 2 friends who died recently, who've been very involved in the army with me. Well, these are animals that I've shot, and my sons have also shot as well, and so on, yes. And the carved birds up there, I've made those out of wood. And there, we can just prop that there. And that was my gun cabinet there of sporting guns, various things that I have. Over the years, I've enjoyed a lot of hunting. A pistol, a Mauser pistol, which was used by the Chinese forces in Korea that were captured. This I didn't get from the Chinese, I got it subsequent in New Zealand. But it was a Mauser pistol of German design, one of the earliest automatic pistols.